Hey everyone, it's Brian here from Massey's Main Entertainment, and we're back again with our series of Was this album really that awful, or was this album really that good? I'm here again with my buddies Rich Strickler and Doc. Say hello to everybody out there. Guys, I thought we all agreed to wear flannel today. Huh? I mean, I thought that's what the agreement was.
Well, that's the catch, man. We all got the memo.
Rich, Doc, and we're part of the Authentic Hall of Fame Committee series that is featured over on Rich's channel, where we induct bands into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame every week. You should check those videos out. And Rich and I also participate in what's a CD exchange on his channel with Glenn Kellaway, Randy Nelson, and the Canadian stud buffin himself, Larry Graves. So check those videos out. We have a lot of fun doing those, and the last couple of ones have been really, really, really great. So, yeah. Okay, guys, I was at the beginning stages of running an alternative radio station when this album hit, and honestly, I really wasn't sure what to think at the time. It didn't have any of the general rock sensibilities, and it felt like all those things had been stripped away, and we were kind of in the presence of something that was definitely original. But I found the album on first listen back then a little abrasive and a little embracing all at the same time. And I'm speaking about Nirvana's classic album, Nevermind. It was released in the fall of 1991, my sophomore year of college. Nevermind hit the music scene by storm, empowered by both the music video industry and the grunge movement at the time. It was produced by Bruce Vig and turned its frontman Kurt Cobain into this Jim Morrison type figure for the ages. Album was voted #1 album of the 1990s and appears in the top 10 albums of all time on Rolling Stone's 2020 edition. It spawned 4 singles, including the massive Smells Like Teen Spirit, which was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2017. The album itself sold 12 million copies worldwide. And I could not find a retrospective rating of the album that was less than a 9 on any major publication. So, guys, I'm going to take the last word as usual on this. And Rich, I have elected you to have the first word on this. So, give me your thoughts.
You will. Thank you very much. Anyway, it's an interesting album. I mean, I was already probably in my 30s by the time I heard it. And I got to give it credit for originality. It did connect a lot of people of that generation, a lot of misfits and slack at Generation X people that were looking for something of their own, not their dad's rock and roll, and classic rock didn't interest them. They wanted something that appealed to their sensibilities, and this hits on that with the social alienation, the loneliness, isolation. There's a whole slew of outcasts out there that, vibe to this album. I mean, in a lot of ways, it leads up to that whole Columbine shooting thing. I hate to put a negative on it, but that generation of people are looking for something to call their own, and this album speaks to that. I like the melodies, and I think Cobain was a decent songwriter, and he was very melodic for such harsh music behind it. So I give him credit for that. Let's lead off the bat here with Smells Like Teen Spirit. His voice, it goes from apathetic, and to frantic. And he starts that anthem, entertainer, here we are now. And then at the end, it's a denial. He's setting the tone like to masses out there. I just love the drums lead into a chorus with Dave Grohl. The second track here, Bloom, the opening line catches your attention right away. Sell the kids for food. I mean, that's what he's writing for. Sell the kids for food. It's dronish, but it grabs that attention from those people for something that they've never heard before. It's a killer rock song, I think. Nasty sounding guitar. I like that song as well. Come As You Are, very melodic bass line, and that repeated line, no, I don't have a gun. And ironically, he died at the end of a gun several years later. So there's a lot of thought that, he was even suicidal back then. Breed's kind of a speed metal pace, needlessly noisy. I didn't that much. I do like Lithium. It's got that soft vocal and a raw emotional outburst, and that repeated. I like it. I'm not going to crack. Some mental illness maybe going on. Polly is a dark acoustic song. Territorial Pissings. I didn't care for that. Horrible, out of control angst that just doesn't interest me. Drain You, mediocre at best. Lounge Act's okay. I don't hate it, don't love it. Just running through the songs. There's 13 songs. Stay Away. That's a hard rocker, a loner's kind of anthem. The rest of it's okay as well. I didn't like the last song. It's a complete mess. Endless, Nameless, just twisted music with incoherent screaming. But overall, for the impact that this album made, it's going to up my score. I still think it's overrated. I would never say it's in the 10 greatest albums of all time. But for the early 90s, it's probably the best album that came out, or one of them at that time, just for the impact it made on the masses and the young people out there. I'm going to give it a solid 8.0.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Doc.
Interesting. I'm looking at my notes going, man, Rich, like you got my text or something, man. Holy cow.
Wow.
Yeah, Nirvana, I'm thinking about this, and Brian touched on it at the beginning there. Me and Brian are the same age, so we're like 21, 22 years old when this thing comes out. And this is a grunge album. This is, you can have Alice in Chains, you can have Nirvana, you can have Pearl Jam, who's going to be the one leading the kick here. But it's a certain sound. We all like our musics and stuff like that. So, and we're all some sort of byproduct, at least of the 70s, and what we like at one point or another, even at this age for us. So this is different. This sounds different. I had this down written as it's a sad, dark album, is what I had it down as, because lyrically it's very sad. I would say even maybe Cobain's lyrics are more than thought-provoking, I think, throughout the whole thing. It's every song has something it brings to it on the lyrical level that is meaningful. I think it's you can see why it can connect with a whole bunch of people at one time, and there is some catchy things. So I had the same kind of setup that you did, Rich. I had it down, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Yeah, man, it's a pretty good freaking tune to start off an album, I'll tell you that, because it does set the mood for the album. Yeah. And then In Bloom, I think, something similar that you touched on, I think, for Come As You Are, talking about the lines and stuff. That cool bass line in Bloom it stands out. His voice lyrically is sometimes a little bit more of a hit and miss. I don't want to say it's a Tom Yorkers thing, because I found that to be more misses than hits on the Radiohead side when we did the OK. That's just me, right? Everyone's going to have something that they latch on to.
Yeah.
Come As You Are, really, I mean, for 3 tracks to start off an album, pretty freaking solid, man. I have them all above 8s, to be honest with you. So, and they're not even my favorite song on the album. We'll get to that in a second. But Breed, I found that was a misplaced song on the album, because it seemed out of place to me on the album. It doesn't sound like it belongs on the album, almost. But then you get into Lithium, which is my favorite song on the album. This is like a 9.5 for me, man. 9.25. I love this too. This song is, I don't know. It's so meaningful on lyrics and stuff like that. But as you go, it starts to wane back for me as I go too. Pauly, it's disturbing and it's the acoustic sounding and stuff like that. But nothing more than a 5 or a 6 as far as the song level goes to me, or something along those lines. That Pissing Past song, that's garb. That doesn't belong either, to be honest. I don't want to. And there's some power spots in this album that are really, really highlights, but I find the lowlights, there's some blah in there, some like an homage to Motorhead that Rich touched on, and how the album ends. And it's like, this doesn't belong, and there's some power punk chords and stuff like that just seem out of place to me on the thing. The album overall, it's a pretty solid album, man. I can't get around that, but I don't quite have it as I'm not in the top 10 neighborhood of all time either.
No.
I do like the hits that come out of this a lot. It's what I'd say, and even some stuff that aren't the hits. Like In Bloom, really good tune. but the songs that I don't like bring it down for me to the point where, you know, I don't know if I need to go back and listen to the whole album again. I'll cherry pick on what I want to hear off of it and go from there. So I don't quite have it as high as Rich. I'm more in the 7.25 neighborhood for me, man.
Good.
Yeah. Kind of a surprising score for you, Doc. I thought you'd even be lower a little bit, but cool.
No, the hits bring it up for me, man. They're so good. The songs on it. And I really, really do love Lithium. Man, that song's really, really great.
Yeah.
Top 10 song of the 90s, man.
But I feel I'm going to echo a lot of the same things you guys said. Of course, you got to recognize the iconic movement that was going on at the time, and that they were at the forefront of it. Them, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, just a lot of different bands, and maybe they were out front more. The different poster that kids were hanging on their wall, other than Bob Marley, it was pictures of Kurt Cobain at the time. So that's kind of how much of an impact he had. Really, just kind of I think the album's a perfect expression of teen angst, particularly for this particular generation. Mm-hmm. I would definitely say that. The louder tracks, I understand where you guys are coming from, but I understand where those songs came from. I mean, because they were still trying to hang on to who they were, like in that, what they were identified with, you know, in the local scene as kind of this noise rock, sludge rock kind of band, like and then they released Bleach in the late 90s and stuff. So I think they were still trying to appease those fans, and then still try to make this record as well. You know, of course, you got to make something that's a little bit more accessible. So, you know, you're going to have other tracks other than those types of songs. So, I mean, whether I like those songs or not, which by and large I do not, I at least understand where they were kind of coming from with trying to put those things on there and try to hold on to that. I actually, if you go by sides, I actually maybe overall like the second side more than the first side. The tracks that I like on the first side, obviously more. The second side of it, I kind of like more. My favorite songs are In Bloom, I think is the best song on there. Maybe one of the top, 10 songs of the 90s for sure. I like Something in the Way. I wish they would have ended the album with Something in the Way instead of that endless, nameless track that was too long, too noisy, didn't really bookend the album very well to me. And I enjoyed Polly and Come As You Are as well. I do think that the influence that they're going to have on like neo-punk going forward from this album and post-hardcore stuff is going to be just absolutely tremendous. Alt-rock and alternative rock in general was definitely changed by this album. Personally, I still prefer Pearl Jam over Nirvana, but it's not going to diminish what I think of this album. I'm going to give this album an 8.75.
Wow.
I think it is really still a strong album. Do I spin it as much as, people who are just super high on it? No, but I mean, every once in a while I will throw it on there again and see if I hear something different. Which, usually I don't, because it's not a challenging album like OK Computer is. It's really just a straightforward grunge rock record, and you're going to appreciate it mostly for the music and the lyrics, and it's going to stop right there. So, but that, I know it's kind of high, but that's kind of how I feel about it. So
I was going to say, no matter what, buddy, I can see the shade coming in the comments. They're all just my personal feeling, buddy. That's all I can tell you. That's
right. Yeah.
That's But whatever the case, everyone's got their favorites, and I got mine, and everyone's got theirs. But I think it's what you touched on there. There's no getting around the deniability of the impact that this album has on music for the last 30 plus years either. So
yeah. But if I had a choice, I would reach out and grab Pearl Jam's 10.
So would I.
99 out of 100 times before I'd grab Nevermind. That's just how I feel.
Even though I only like 5 of the 13 songs that I would say I would recommend, I still give it an 8 for the impact and the greatness of those 5 songs. I like Something in the Way, by the way. I forgot to mention that. That's the best song on the second side for me.
Yeah.
It Smells Like Teen Spirit, In Bloom, Come As You Are, and Lithium. They're all killer songs.
Yeah. Don't deny. So, hey, Nate, a little bit of a mixed bag, but all of us at least appreciate the fact of what the album represented, what it did for alternative rock music, and maybe even rock music in general going forward. So that's really kind of cool. We want to thank everyone for watching our videos. We're going to continue with this series. We're going to put a poll up and try to get some feelers out there for what we should do next. But we're going to continue with this series, and as long as we all three of us like doing it. So until next time, everyone, take care out there, and we'll see you real soon. Okay.
Peace out.
Later. See ya.